Okay, Kendall, thanks so much for coming back to school.
Yeah.
I know you did your master's at the Yale School of Environment. Now you're here to talk to my students at SOM. There's so many students from the School of Environment, from the School of Public Health, undergrad. I have an architecture student, lots of divinity students, so they're from all over campus, and they're so excited to meet you. So I want my Coursera students to meet you as well, and for you to help us to share with us your experience in growing your organization. So first, tell us a little bit about what the organization does.
Oh, yeah. So I work for a nonprofit called GreenWave. We're based right here in New Haven. We are a nonprofit that supports regenerative ocean farmers.
What does that mean?
So we're working basically with people who grow crops in the ocean that don't deplete the ocean, that actually have positive benefits, that take up carbon and nitrogen and filter the water and grow plentiful food without having an environmental impact or much of environmental impact. So we're working with people who are growing shellfish and seaweeds.
Cool.
But a lot of the work that we do is focusing on kind of seaweed and bringing kelps, brown macroalgae, to kind of the domestic market here in the US.
Nice. Okay, so you were the first employee, right? There were the two co-founders, and then you were hired to help get it all started.
Yeah.
And now, how many years has it been?
I've been with GreenWave for 5 years. Okay. And it is a very different organization, or different looking organization than it was when I first came in.
So it's not, do you feel like it's not a startup anymore, but now it's more professionalized?
I think we're moving out of that startup zone. There's still a little bit of a flavor of that. We still are sort of transforming and growing and adapting our programming and approach. But it feels less like a startup than it did for the first 3 years.
So tell us, what does it look like now, and what are the main differences from the beginning? And anything you want to fill in between.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to fill in between, so I don't know if I'll be able to catch it all. But you know, as you mentioned, I was the first full-time hire for the organization. So we went from 2 directors and 1 real staff person to now I think we have 19 staff across 6 states.
I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Okay. Across 6 states.
Yeah. So we're really spread out in different areas. And the team has evolved pretty substantially since I came on board, from just the training and support staff to now market development, training, infrastructure, and our programs have just expanded pretty broadly as well.
So your core program is training ocean farmers?
Yeah, well, at least that's where we started.
Okay. And is the idea that ocean farming is good for the environment and for the farmers, and so that's why you want more people to do it?
Yeah, we're really trying to catalyze growth across the industry because we recognize this is a type of farming that really does have a lot of benefits, and it doesn't use fresh water, doesn't use fertilizer, doesn't use arable land, and there's so much ocean out there that we could farm and farm responsibly to grow food for people, as well as to look at other market opportunities for the kelp that we're growing. So when we first started, I was building training programs for a small handful of people right here in southern New England. So I was working with prospective farmers in Connecticut, New York, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts, and I could only bring in 8 to 10 farmers a year to work with them really intensively over a 2-year period, from concept to implementation of their farm. And we still work with people in this really high touch way, but we realized if we wanted to catalyze growth across the industry and really help to scale and expand regenerative ocean farming and the impact of regenerative ocean farming, then we needed to reach more people. And so we've done that by creating new opportunities for sort of self-directed learning through our online platform that we launched this past April.
Oh, wow.
We also have a number of like a market development program which focuses on value chain coordination. So we're looking at connecting the growers to the buyers and processors to help to build that value chain here.
Yeah, because these people were not ocean farmers and then totally changed their lives to become ocean farmers. So you want to make
Exactly.
sure there's someone buying from them at the end of the day.
Exactly. And so rather than we still have lots of technical programming and things like that for farmers and for hatchery operators. But a lot of the high touch programming has really evolved to serve the people who are trying to start the hatcheries and build up seed supply or do processing and create new products and tap into that domestic supply.
Okay, so it sounds like one of the ways that you were able to grow was to go from a one-on-one training program where you worked with individuals to make it online so that you reach more people.
Yeah.
Do you feel like anything was lost there in terms of, sometimes when you grow there's trade-offs, like less things you can control?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There was a lot that we learned through that process, working very closely with farmers and with hatchery operators to understand the needs. We farm ourselves and we also grow our own seed, so it's a little bit of we're sharing what we know, and then by working with other people and helping them start the process, we learn about some of the bottlenecks and different ways that we can address that. And so we continue to work with people in this high-touch way and to try to provide that technical programming. But yeah, there's a bit that's lost when you're scaling from working with 8 to 10 people to working with 1,000 people over the course of a year.
But that's great. There's so much that's gained too.
Yeah. And one of the things that we're trying to do in recognizing that that relationship, that interpersonal connection, and that community is really important. As a part of the online hub that we launched back in April, we also created a community space where people can start to connect with one another and solve technical questions and issues right there. So help to facilitate, I guess, coordinate those conversations, and bring people together, but help them to relate and solve issues.
So what does the team look like? It was 3 people and now it's 19. Who are all these people?
Yeah. Who are they? So we have a pretty big leadership team now. The 2 co-founders, one was executive director and a deputy director. They are now co-directors.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
They're co-founders.
Co-founders, co-directors, and they oversee the leadership team. So we have I was program director for several years. Now I'm director of partnerships and new programming. We have an infrastructure director. We have director of market development and director of training support. So basically, the director level people are the ones that are overseeing those core program areas.
So that's the executive team.
Yeah.
Rather than having one executive director, there's 2 co-directors. Then you're kind of like the director of external stuff, right? You said strategy and partnerships.
Yes.
Then there's internal stuff, which was, what did you call it?
Training support, market development.
Market development and infrastructure.
But then we also have development director.
Right,
so making sure we have the money to carry out our programming over the long term.
Because it's mostly fundraising, right?
A lot of fundraising. And then a communications team. And then the whole team that's carrying out a lot of the work on the ground that inspired our organization in the first place.
So you make it sound so easy that you went from 3 people to 19 people, but I'm sure there are a lot of nuances in there. What did you learn in this process of creating this team?
So much. I'm not sure if I can really boil it down, but I think I mentioned a bit ago that the way that the team evolved was a combination of strategy and sort of iteration. As we built out the team, we identified, some of the core hires to help us to scale our programming and scale our impact. Many of the other people on our team, though, kind of came in not exactly through the front door.
Like more organically?
More organically as consultants to the organization, as
like they were
project
already doing
managers.
This work.
Yeah, so they came in to manage certain projects where we had an area of need but weren't quite ready, say, to build out a team around that area of need. Or that program. We didn't have a program yet and wanted somebody to help us to articulate a vision, identify the broader needs across the community, and work with us to develop that strategy. And so we did have several people, particularly our new director of market development, who has been working with the organization for about 4 years as a consultant, but finally is on board as a part of the leadership team and now is building out that market development team. And I think we're just in this incredibly unique space right now because the regenerative ocean farming industry and the seaweed farming industry here in the United States is so new. And there are so many opportunities, and we have, I think the biggest opportunity is like shaping the direction of the industry.
You're shaping a whole field, not just individual farms.
And there are not people that were really able
have
to
done this before.
Yeah, there are not a lot of people who have done this before. And so, we have, I have a background in commercial fishing.
I never knew
I
that.
have experience working on the water. I worked on fishing boats in Alaska for 10 years. I worked on research boats in Antarctica. I understand a lot of the hands-on dimensions of the work that we're doing. And so I think that in that way I was a really critical first hire for the organization. I could relate to people who are getting started in this new industry. I also had an interest in doing it.
Yeah.
But we couldn't really pull other than from the academic community, from people with experience doing this exact work. And so for a lot of our programming work, we've pulled from people from, I'd say, maybe similar industries or that have some sort of hands-on experience. Our director of training and support has started her own ocean farm in Alaska.
Oh, wow.
Our market development director was the COO of a craft butcher.
Oh, wow.
And she has a lot of experience in land-based agriculture and supply chain coordination. And so we are trying to take this kind of mix of skill sets from different industries and apply them to our own and really define what we need moving forward.
So it sounds like it's really role dependent.
It is. It is very.
About like the skills and knowledge that that person needs to fill that role.
Yeah, and a lot of it has been like, okay, does this person have specific understanding of seaweed biology?
Yeah.
And the seaweed life cycles. Now, does this person have experience working in a lab? Do they nerd out on Excel spreadsheets? Like, these are the kind of characteristics we're looking for in a person, and everything else is trainable.
Yeah,
and
you can find out about the biology online.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's more about like what environment do they thrive in?
Yeah. So it does really depend on the nature of the position, the sort of level of the position within the organization. And there are some that I would say are kind of entry level, all trainable, all fully trainable, and others that we need to bring in skill sets. We need to tap kind of people from other complementary areas and then sort of reshape what we need.
So I think it's a good thing for your role as an organization to evolve as your work proceeds, because it's not that you want to do more of the same and grow linearly, it's that you want to like catalyze something that then grows without you.
Yeah, I think we'd like to see at minimum by 2030 that we've had a direct impact in kind of training and supporting 10,000 people.
Wow.
And hoping that many of them become farmers or start to engage in this industry in one way or another. As an organization, I'm not sure how we will need to grow to support that. I think we're all hoping that we kind of stay around where we are for a while. And then as our programming transforms, we identify new needs and we can kind of build a team around that.
Okay, any closing words of wisdom you want to share with someone who's in your shoes 5 years ago or maybe even before?
Just that growth isn't linear so much as it's kind of this zigzag.
Yeah.
It goes up and down.
Like the whole entrepreneurship process.
Yeah, and it's growth. It's also kind of the structure of the organization. Things expand and contract. Things move from over here to over there and then back to over here. So it's definitely a process. You have to have a bit of, I'd say, endurance, but it's also really interesting and fun.
Thanks so much, Kendall. Thanks for taking the time to share your experience with us.
Yeah.
This is great.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.